That's it for now.
Welcome to Thoughts on Thursday. It's Reverend Miller.
And Stuart Holmes.
So it is summertime, and with Stuart's schedule and my schedule and everybody's schedule, we are taking vacation. So we don't every week have Thoughts on Thursday. I think it's been 2 weeks. And so we're glad to be back talking about worship and also this coming Sunday's worship. It did make me think, though, it's interesting. Summer is a wonderful time to have vacation, see family, see other places and experience it. But the continuity of worship changes because of that. And I would say back in the day, generations ago, people would go to church on vacation. And in fact, in northern Michigan, there was churches, just summer churches, that people who were just summoning, they would come to this church or start a church just because they wanted a Presbyterian or Reformed church in that area. Well, they worshiped in the summer. You see probably less and less people do that. Now, when I was in Europe, we did not go to a worship service, but every church I saw, of course, I had to go in and check out because that interests me. So it takes a little work in the summer to continue continuity and focus on worship. And so this coming Sunday, I was reminded that on Facebook, another pastor friend of mine in the other Ridgewood, not Ridgewood, New Jersey, but Ridgewood, New York, he was putting his sign up, which he does on Monday, and it was God wrestling. And I'm like, oh, it's Jacob wrestling with God. And I forgot that I did not choose that passage because in the lectionary, and this is where you get some differences even from churches that are doing the lectionary. We have the semi-continuous lectionary, and then we have the common lectionary where you have things in common. So the older one is the semi-continuous, where you are going through the Old Testament in a certain order and number and looking at different passages. They thought, the minister then has to take one passage from the Old Testament and a passage from the New Testament that maybe thematically didn't fit. So they changed and added more scripture passages and called them the complementary texts so that they had something more in common. And so, this is a long story to say, instead of picking Genesis chapter 32, I picked the complementary one that is Isaiah chapter 55, 1 through 5. In Isaiah's passage is, those who are thirsty come to the water, those even who don't have money or anything come and buy milk and buy food and the abundance. And it fits well with the gospel lesson in Matthew of the feeding of the 5,000. And so that's our theme. And what we're going to explore on Sunday is this idea of, are we open to be surprised by God's abundance? And not only be surprised by God's abundance, but those moments where we feel like we lack what we need. And so that will be the theme, both from Isaiah chapter 55, and then our gospel lesson from Matthew, the feeding of the 5,000. Wow. Deep stuff, though.
Abundance
when we're lacking, actually, is kind of the theme. And we're going to have some surprises on Sunday. We're going to have a little bit of fun. Depending on your version of fun, I thought we had a little fun on last Sunday. We went out to the congregation to see who's going to get into the kingdom and who's not.
And the operator of the camera went, oh, what's he doing?
Surprise.
So
those are my thoughts. What do you have for us, Stuart Holmes?
Oh dear. So I'm not playing prelude and postlude this week because we have a woodwind ensemble here with our church member Nancy Sturridge and a couple of her colleagues. So that's kind of a special treat. So I'm going to take this opportunity to talk. I'm going to put my teacher hat on, not that it's ever off, but talk about the Toccato, Adagio, and Fugue that I have played. Let me start over. I'm going to talk about the Toccata, Adagio, and Fugue It's the music for 3 Sundays. The toccata one Sunday, the adagio the next coming up, and of course the fugue the third Sunday.
So this is in the future. You're
Right,
preparing
the first
us.
2, I'm kind of getting us ready. I played at the very beginning which was kind of a toccata-like, and that really develops. A lot of the listeners know that so he goes back between that and then returns to the normal toccata.
It's the Dolby song.
Oh, is it? Oh,
On the movie, when
On the
they say
movie,
they
yeah.
have the
Oh,
Dolby,
that's
they
right.
use that little lick to show you the sound they have.
and from the same thing, the same movement of this D minor, we have a fugue that. And it develops that. Well, this toccata is very much like that. Bach chose to, and this was his only time that he chose to create an organ series of pieces, put them together as a concerto, like a concerto, 3 movements. The first movement, and the second movement, a quiet movement, which is wonderful. And that's not the setting that I have. Let's try this one. You can almost hear the violins, the solo instrument, with the cello and the bass. That slow movement is just a beautiful adagio movement that ends with a very typical Bach ending. It goes back to a stronger organ sound with very typical Bach chords. With the double diminished chord. And then he moves into the third movement. The third movement is, for me, it's a dance. And you can hear a little bit of that toccata feeling that we had when I began the talk. But he's being a little bit funny here. Well, and then he takes off. Now remember, that's a fugue, so we're going to hear the other voices come in. Here's counter theme. And then he comes in finally with a brilliant pedal part. Where am I? So he's combining all that in that beautiful dance theme. And then he does something at the end that is very unusual for Bach. He returns to that toccata with a pedal point that is a pedal solo that is very typical of some of his works. also typical of organs is because we're a winded instrument with constant supply of wind, the pedal point was very important. And the pedal point is just one note that's playing while everybody else is fooling around. There it is. And he comes off with this huge 15-minute work like this. And you tell me what you think about it. You tell me. After that big work, just boom, done.
No big boom.
Yeah,
holding the
you
chord.
want it really to go. You want it like that, but no, he just cuts right through it. Some editor has, or some subsequent publications after this was published, put a fermata over that last chord. But, you know,
You wanted it
who
to
am I-
stop.
Who am I? Yeah. So I'm playing
The
it
rest.
as it's written. So anyway, that's a little bit about Bach and his
And that's
toccata.
coming up in the next few
Yeah,
seconds. Yep.
next Sunday will be the Adagio, and then the following
2 weeks from
2
that,
weeks.
because you're gone.
Yeah.
And we'll have Lisa Letter on the piano. The 27th, I believe,
From-
is the date.
From Ramapo,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Filling
And
in.
then our own Pat Yatsko. Going to be playing piano for 2 other Sundays.
Okay.
So
So,
That's- I was longer this time.
yeah, long-winded. But as he said, organ and organists, they don't run out of wind. That's why they're
That's
long-winded.
right. It was like a great big pedal point.
Well, thanks for joining us for Thoughts on Thursday. We hope to see you here in person for worship or on YouTube and Facebook. Have a wonderful day, and these are our thoughts.
Okay, what am I going to play as we end? I have to play something. I did it already.
2 notes, quick, like Bach.